Right. I guess everyone is here. So yeah, let's get started this without any further ado. So the first scan type that we have to go through today is the version scan. Now this is to perform something called banner grabbing, also commonly known as service version enumeration. Okay, trying to figure out what services are running with what exact version details of them. Okay, so to perform this version scan, you have to use the option SV. So now, if I have to perform my version scan on Metasploitable IP running on 0.7, I can come back to my Kali, run the command nmap -s capital V for version scan and the target IP. And now when I hit enter, carefully observe, this gives me version details of every service run. This might take slightly longer to complete, guys, because again, it needs to get the version details of each and every service. But as you can see, in around 12 seconds or so, I get an extra column of information here called version. Okay. And now this version details are very important for a penetration tester because now once you know what service is running with what version, you can copy that service version details, go to your browser, and you can start searching for exploits on it. So if I go to my browser, and if this is the service VSFTPD 2.3.4, I can now start searching for vulnerabilities or exploits on that service. Copy paste, space, exploits. And you can see there are exploits available on the internet from the website ExploitDB, which we covered in the information gathering class. And in the upcoming sessions, now, if we want to, we can perform pen testing with this exploit here. Okay. So the version details are quite important for you to know which services are running on the system with what exact version. And with that, you can start finding loopholes to attack on. Okay. So that is the main purpose of scanning, figuring out what services are running on what ports, and again, if there's any vulnerabilities to attack with it. Okay, so that is version scan. Again, I've performed this for TCP ports, guys. You can also perform it for UDP ports as well. You just have to run two scan types at the same time, SU and SV together. Okay. Oh, I think I did give an assignment yesterday. Did anyone complete that? I think I asked you to share me a screenshot of the UDP scan results. Did anyone perform that, guys, by any chance? Oh, okay, sure, Bhavin. Perfect. Good. And I hope you got the results though. I think it took a while, maybe 15 minutes or so. And by the end of that, you must have gotten some UDP port information as well. Mhm. Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Mhm. Oh, sure. Okay. But in my experience, that shouldn't cause any difference actually. Verbose should only give you more details regarding the scan. I'm not sure if that is going to alter. Oh, okay. Because if you notice over here, Bhavin, when I ran the same scan and map SS on the same IP, one without verbose and one with verbose, the verbose one took longer for me actually. So if you notice this completed in 0.31 seconds. Where did that go? Yeah, over here, 0.31 seconds. And this here took 1.33 seconds, if you notice. So again, maybe you were running other. Mhm. Oh, oh, oh. That's an interesting note. I'll try to check it out myself as well, and I'll try to figure out why this is happening. Again, I've never heard about that. Hmm. 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 Uh, that's That's an interesting thing. I've never observed that. So let me figure it out. Let me check what is causing that thing. It's a good thing to know. Again, something new that I learned today as well. But yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for me, specifically for bringing that up. I'll check it out. But yeah, hopefully, I know you must have gotten the same results with or without purpose. Sorry? Again. Sure, definitely. But yeah, with or without verbose, again, although there's a time difference, you must have gotten the same exact number of port results. Did you notice any change in results? Sure. Definitely, definitely. No worries. Take your time, no rush. Right, cool. So yeah, that's about version scan, guys. Again, you can perform UDP scan and get the UDP results. And I'm pretty sure with or without Opus, you should still get the same end results. Although, from Bhavan's experience, I've learned that it's taking different timings though. So it is slightly faster when you're running the verbose option as well as again what has been brought up over here. So let's try to figure that out as well later on. Okay, but yeah, as mentioned, when with the UDP scan, you should get the UDP ports as well. Although, as mentioned, with or without purpose, it is going to take much longer compared to a TCP scan. You do not have TCP flags in the UDP protocol, so it needs to create a special packet for every protocol and then give you the results. Okay, so that's a time-taking process. Okay. Now, moving on to the next scan type. So this is version scan, giving you version information on each service. And then we have the other scan types now: ARC scan, fin scan, Xmas scan, and null scan. Okay. Now, these four scan types, guys, ARC, fin, null, and Xmas, are not for port detection or service detection. They're more importantly for firewall detection. So the target system has a firewall or not can actually be determined with these ARC scan, fin scan, Xmas scan, and null scan. But frankly speaking, right now in today's world, these scans are not that great because that operation is actually being performed by your SYN scan itself. Okay, so these were slightly older scan types, but the reason I've still included them is a lot of questions in the CH certification are still asked regarding these scan types. I'm going to explain what questions those are in a minute. Okay, but again, basically all these four scan types: SA, SF, SX, and SN. SA for ARC scan, SF for fin scan, SX for Xmas scan, and SN for null scan are used specifically for firewall detection. Okay. Now, when you talk about the ACK scan here, guys, basically by default in any Nmap scan, it always should send the SYN flag first. But in this ACK scan, the exception is rather than sending SYN first, it directly sends an ACK flag. Okay. And that is usually the last flag in a TCP three-way handshake, right? So when you're sending an ACK flag, and if the target system has a firewall, that ACK flag will definitely be filtered by the firewall. Okay, it definitely gets blocked. Okay, so if the port is open or closed, basically you get a reset flag back for that ACK flag. Okay, so if there's no firewall, you get a reset back. But if the port is filtered by a firewall, if there's a filter, that firewall doesn't respond anything to it because it doesn't know how to respond to an ACK flag in return. Okay, so it just sends a message saying ICMP unreachable message. Okay, so if I show you this over here in my terminal as well, if I type nmap SA for ACK scan, and if I give the target IP here, it only gives me information whether the ports are filtered or unfiltered. So now when I hit enter, you can see it performs a scan. Doesn't give me any port information. It just says ports are unfiltered. And you can see something called reset here. So if we're getting a reset back, it basically means the ports could be open or closed. We never know. They could be open, they could be closed. We are not sure. We can get no sure answer from that. But basically, when you get a reset back, it means there's no firewall. Okay. If there's a firewall, you won't get reset. It just shows filtered there. Okay. So let me show you the difference with the firewall as well. Again, basically, if I scan a Windows system here, okay, so right now in my Windows system, I can enable or disable a firewall. And this ACK scan, guys, unfortunately only works on Linux systems, but at least I can show you the difference in the results. So when there's no firewall right now on this system. So this is running on 0.9. So if I scan that system with SYNSCAN, nmap -s capitalist for SYNSCAN, target IP. So when there is no firewall, you get much more accurate results. So when I hit enter now, you can see it performs a scan on the target system, shows me how many ports are closed and how many ports are open. But if I switch on the firewall now, turn on the firewall, turn on the firewall, okay. And if I go back to this now, and if I hit enter, now carefully note the difference, guys. You won't get same results with the firewall. So it won't show you now these 10 ports as open. Some ports might be blocked. So as you can see now, it only shows one port as open. And the remaining 999 ports are being shown as filtered. Okay, so when you see it as filtered, it basically means as a packet filtering tool, a firewall, which is filtering your SYN scans, SYN flags, and blocking them. Okay, so therefore, whenever you perform a scan as mentioned in real time, you should get your IP added as an ACL rule. So when you perform scan, your firewall should have a rule specifically for your IP to allow these packets. Okay, or as mentioned, you can perform it at the maintenance hours as well when the firewall is shut down. Okay, because as mentioned, when you have a firewall, you will definitely never get accurate results. Okay, so this is the result without firewall, accurate results here, and with firewall, not so accurate, quite inaccurate, I would say. Okay, so this is the difference between a firewall and without a firewall scan. Okay, now finally, this is with ACK scan, guys. Similarly, when you talk about the other scan, fin scan, now rather than sending an ACK flag, directly sends the fin flag first. Okay, and now if you get a reset back, here it's different, guys. So if you get a reset back, you can definitely say the port is closed. And if you get no response, it means that the port is open. So if I perform a fin scan now on the target, when I type nmap -s capital for fin scan and the target IP 0.7, now you can see it gives me port information as well, says ports are open or filtered. Okay, and the remaining so and so ports are closed. So whichever ports are closed, they definitely send a reset back. Okay, so again, that's an important point to note. And if you get no response or if you get any response, that could mean that the port is open. Then you have Xmas scan. Now, this is a scan type, a unique scan type, I would say, in Nmap, where it sends 3 flags at once. So this is a question in CH examination as well. Which scan sends 3 flags, fin, push, and urge at once? So that's the Xmas scan. And the way it got its name is quite weird, actually. It has a very, I would say, a very stupid way on how it got its name. But I don't know why it was built that way. So basically, oh, sorry. If I draw this out, let's assume this is the attacker machine here, and this is the victim machine here. So first your nmap sends the fin flag, fin. Oh, sorry. And after the fin flag, then it sends fin and push flags together. Fin plus push. And then it sends fin, push, and urge, all 3 together. Fin plus push plus urge. Okay. So this is what happens in an Xmas scan. Sends the fin flag first, then fin and push flag, and then fin, push, and urge. And if you notice, this looks like kind of like a triangular tree here. And the reason why it gets its name Xmas is because it's like a tree, and it lights up like a red Xmas tree, a Christmas tree. Okay, because it is sending these many flags on the target system, you get lots and lots of alerts. Okay, just like a Christmas tree, it lights up the target system, and hence the name Xmas. I know, seems a bit weird, but this is how it got its name. Okay, so this is a question in the CH examination. What is the only scan which sends 3 flags at once? Fin, push, and urge, and that is Xmas scan. Okay, so same results again. If you get reset back, it means that the port is closed, and if you get no response, port is open. So if I type nmap -s capitalist for Xmas scan, and if I give the target IP here, same results like your fin scan. And finally, you have your null scan, where in null scan, it doesn't send any flag at all. It just sends a random binary data, zeros and ones. So when I type SN and give the target IP, same results again, just like fin, Xmas, and null. Okay. So only in the ACK scan, guys, it's quite different. So when you're sending an ACK flag, if you get a reset back, port could be open or closed. We are not sure. Okay. But in the other scan types, if you're getting a reset, you can confirm that the port is closed. And if you get no response, it means the port is open. Okay. And in ACK scan, if you get no response, it basically means that there's a firewall there. Okay. So that's quite a difference between ACK scan and the other scan types, FIN, XMS, and NUL. Okay. So these are all the scan types available again in Nmap guys, the ones which are commonly used in real time. Okay. The most important ones out of here are the host discovery scan, SS scan, ST scan, SU scan, vScan version scan, and PN scan. Remaining these four scan types, SA, SF, SX, and SN, are not that important. Okay, you can ignore these. Again, as mentioned, only important for your certification exam to answer those questions. In real time, you're not going to use these four scan types at all. Okay, the first six are the ones which are most important. Okay, so these are the scan types, guys. Now moving on to Nmap options. So as mentioned, these options allow you to give extra information on the target system or modify the scan in a certain way. Okay, so the first option we're going to discuss today is the capital O option for OS enumeration. So if you want to figure out what is the target system's operating system, okay, what OS is it running on, then we can use the capital O option for that. So if I perform this now practically, so I can come back to my terminal here. And if I had to get the operating system details of this metasploitable system, I can type nmap and a certain scan type hyphen capital O for operating system and the target IP. Now, please note, guys, you can always run multiple options as well in the same command. So I can give hyphen capital O and then I can give hyphen V for verbose. So there's no rule that you have to only specify one option. You can add as many options as you want in a singular command. And now when I hit enter, first gives me the port information from SYNSCAN and then gives me the operating system details from here. So it says OS details, running Linux 2.6.9 to 2.6.33. If I just had to verify this in my Metasploitable, I can run a command here, uname -a. So when I type uname -a, you can see it says running Linux Metasploitable 2.6.24. So definitely it's quite accurate. This 24 definitely falls between 2.6.9 and 3.3. And that information is good enough for a hacker to know if that version of operating systems contain any vulnerabilities. Okay. Similarly, if I scan a Windows 7 system as well, so here a firewall is on, so it might not give me accurate results. Okay. Well, let's still check. So 0.9. And now when I hit enter, first scans all the important ports on the target system. But most of these ports might be blocked, so it might not give you accurate results. And in the end, then it should give you operating system info. So let's wait for that. So as you can see, it only got one port open. And you can notice over here, it has given me the operating system information. So it says OS scan results may be unreliable because we could not find one open port and one closed port. So it needs at least one open port and one closed port to give you much more accurate results. So right now it says aggressive OS guesses. So it could be Windows 8.1, 96% sure. Okay. Could be 7.5 or 8.0, 96% again. Could be Windows 7 also, 94%. Could be Windows 7 Professional or Windows 8, 92%. And as you can see, this is giving a probability. It could be any of these operating systems. Okay. But if I switch off the firewall now, so if I go back to firewall settings and if I switch it off, let's see how different the results are. So when I hit enter, you can see it has found a few more open ports. And now it gives me some more extra information. So right now it says operating system details. So first preference is given for Windows 7. It could be Service Pack 0 or Service Pack 1. Okay. Still not sure though. Could be Windows 7 or Windows Server 2008, revision 1 or revision 2, or Windows 8 or 8.1. Exactly not sure, but definitely shows that this is a Windows. But there are other methods also, guys. So if you want to get the accurate information, there's one more method. I'm going to discuss that in the upcoming sessions. Okay. So this is for operating system details, guys, figuring out what OS is running on the target system. After this, we have the next scan type called lowercase o or output file. Now, please remember, everything in your Linux terminal is case sensitive. So capital O serves a different purpose. lowercase o serves altogether a different purpose itself. Okay, so now when I type lowercase o, oh, 1 second, guys. Right, apologies for that. I had a text from my institute. So I'll type nmap here, scan type. And now if I had to save the output for this file, if I had to export the output for a certain scan type, I can use the lowercase o option for that. Now, it's not a good practice to run a same scan multiple times, guys, because it generates a lot of alerts. So what you do is you run a scan only once and you save the output somewhere. So rather than running it in the terminal and clearing the output, you can run the hyphen lowercase o option now and give a file name here. Let's say nmap or synscan result. Okay, synscan.txt. And now when I hit enter, carefully observe. Oh, 1 second. SS IP address synscan.txt. No, this seems to be fine. And map hyphen S capital S for synscan, target IP hyphen O for output file, root desktop synscan.txt. Yeah, much better. I have to specify the entire path. Okay, so when I specify the entire path /root desktop and then synscan.txt, you can see I've got a result here, a text file. And now when I open that text file, it has the same output stored in this file here now. Okay, so rather than you running the scan multiple times, you can just run it once and save the output to an external file so that you can refer that file later on. It's not a good practice to run scans multiple times in an organization. Okay, so no matter what scan it be, if you want to save the scan or export the scan to a file, you use the lowercase o option for that. Okay, so if I want to perform the version scan, hyphen S capital V for version scan, hyphen O output file, and the file name, let's say version scan.txt. And now it generates a file with that name, and the results are exported to that file. Okay, so as simple as that. Okay, used to export nmaps output to a file of your choice. Then we have the next scan type hyphen V for verbose. We have already discussed this as mentioned to get a detailed output of the background process. And then we have the next scan type hyphen capital F. Okay, scan option F. Now this is an option to perform scan slightly faster by only scanning 100 ports on the target base. So as mentioned by default, nmap scans for 1000 ports. So if I type nmap hyphen S capital S for synscan, if I give the target IP, and if I hit V for verbose, you can carefully observe it says it's scanning 1000 ports here. Okay, so out of all the 65,535 ports, Nmap selects the most important 1000 ports, prioritizes most important 1000 ports, and selects and scans those. Now we have no clue what those 1000 ports are, guys. Nmap chooses automatically from its scripts. Okay, although if you want to decrease the number of ports that are being scanned, you can use an option called capital F. So when I type Nmap hyphen S capital S for synscan, and then hyphen capital F, okay, for fast scan. And now when I hit enter, carefully observe, rather than scanning for 1000 ports, now it only scans for 100 ports. And out of those 100 ports, the results are shown here. So out of those 100 ports, 82 ports are closed, and remaining 18 ports are shown as open here. Okay, so this again performs slightly faster compared to a normal scan, because in a normal scan, it scans for 1000 ports. Here, it scans only for 100 ports. So remaining 900 SYN flags are omitted. It only sends 100 SYN flags and checks the responses from them. Okay, so quite helpful if you don't want to generate too many alerts on the target system. Okay, now you might have a question. What if I don't want to, I don't want Nmap to decide what ports are being scanned. I want to scan ports of my choice. In that scenario, also you have an option. So you can type nmap, a scan type, and then hyphen P for ports to specify. And you can now specify the ports of your choice. Okay. Let's say if I specifically want to scan port number 21, 23, 25, 53, 80. If you want, you can mention individual ports this way, or you can also mention a range as well. Let's say ports from 2000 to 5000. So how many ports am I scanning in total, guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2000 to 5000, that's 3001. So in total, I should be scanning 3006 ports. So now when I hit -B for verbose, you can see, oh, my bad. What is the error here? I forgot to mention the IP. Okay, so now when I hit enter, you can see it says scanning specifically 3006 ports. Okay, so those exact ports which I've mentioned, only those ports are scanned. And out of those ports, these many ports are closed and these many ports are open. Okay. Similarly, if you want to scan all the 65,535 ports, you can also mention 1-65535. Okay. There's a shortcut to perform this also. You can also mention -E-. And now when I hit enter, you can see it says scanning 65,535 ports. This is a question asked in a lot of interviews. What is the scan type or an option to scan all the 65,535 ports? And the option for that is -P-. Okay. Is that clear? Any questions, any doubts up to this point? Jeevan, Bhavan, Shekhar. Bhavan. Mm-hmm. But if you notice, when I used -P, it's throwing me an error. It says your port specifications are illegal. Nmap -SS and -P and the IP address. So it doesn't work if you notice. Yeah, that will work. If you're giving -P, that's the alternative. So -P is a shortcut method. If not, you can specify the range as well, 1-65535. So you're specifying the range. And over here, since I'm not specifying a range, it's throwing me the error. But with -P, if you're just mentioning -P, you have to specify the range as well. That will definitely work. If you don't want to specify the range, you can give -P-. As you can see, it works for my system as well. Okay. So rather than you typing those numbers, 1-65535, if you don't want to type that, you just mention -P-. That's what I mentioned earlier. Right. Moving forward, let's talk about one more option, guys. So the last option for today. So after fast scan, there's the timing mode option now. So now this is an option available in Nmap to increase or decrease the speed of the Nmap scan. Now you might have a question. Why would we ever want to decrease the speed of an Nmap scan? Okay. So again, in your organization, sometimes what happens is you have something called IDS and IPS systems, intrusion detection systems and intrusion prevention systems. Now, these devices are capable of capturing your Nmap packets and are capable of figuring out the pattern of Nmap packets and blocking them. Okay. So when I type Nmap and when I type -SS for SynScan, and if I give a target IP here, and if I hit enter, within a short duration, within just 1.3 seconds or 0.3 seconds, my Nmap sends 1,000 SYN flags. Okay. So when the target system receives a flood of 1,000 SYN flags, and in their network, if they have an IDS or an IPS system, those devices are capable of capturing this pattern and blocking those packets. So rather than you sending all these packets at once, you can now increase a delay between each packet that is sent by Nmap. And for that, we can use the timing mode. So if you type Nmap -T for timing mode, and if you go for -help, this shows all the timing modes available. So there's 6 timing modes, guys. 0 for paranoid, 1 for sneaky, 2 for polite, 3 for normal, 4 for aggressive, and 5 for insane, ranging from 0 to 5. Total 6 modes. Smaller the number you give, much slower the packets are sent. Higher the number you give, the larger the number you give, the much faster the packets are sent. And Nmap by default always goes for aggressive mode. Nmap -S capital is for SynScan, -T4 for aggressive mode, and the IP. So when I go with aggressive mode, you can see Nmap scans it in 1.38 seconds. Okay. So when I don't use T4 also, when I just enter the IP, you can see it takes almost the same time, 0.40 seconds or 1.40 seconds or so. But if I decrease the speed now, so rather than T4, if I give T2 now, and just to show you how much long it will take, if I give -V for verbose, now you would notice rather than sending all packets at once, it sends each SYN flag slowly, one by one, and figures out what ports are open and what ports are not, and adds a delay between each packet. Okay. And thereby, earlier, which it took just 1.4 seconds or 0.4 seconds for T4, now for T2, it should take around 6 minutes or so, as you can see. Okay. So this timing mode allows you to increase or decrease the speed of an Nmap scan. Okay. The smaller the number you give, the much longer it will take to complete the scan. And this is usually used to bypass security measures. Okay. Bypassing IDS and IPS systems, intrusion detection and intrusion prevention systems. Okay. Exactly, everyone. G1, Shaker, Bhavan, and right. So yeah, these are a few important options, guys. We have a few more to cover as we'll cover them in the next session. In tomorrow's class, we're going to conclude Nmap. So there's trace route, there's script selection, aggressive scan, fragmentation, specifying MTU, appending data, decoy, spoofing port numbers, input list, excluding IPs and ports. We'll cover all this in the next session, guys, in tomorrow's class. So tomorrow is going to be the last session for scanning. Okay. So yeah, that's that. Nothing further. Again, an important, you have to practice these guys. Today they might seem a bit simple to understand, but if you leave it like this and if you come back to this 1 week later, it might seem a bit confusing. You might forget this. So it's always important to practice this. Once you practice it and once you get some errors, rectifying those errors makes your foundation stronger. Okay. So practice is very important. So these are quite the same commands used in real time in organizations. So again, it's important that you practice them in your local network as well. Okay. Yeah, that's that. Nothing further. I'll share the recording shortly. And if you have any questions also, you can let me know. Okay. Bye-bye. Sure, Bhavin, I'll go through it. And